All right, I think we're ready to go. I'm gonna do one last check, and then I'll talk about all the shenanigans that have been happening tonight. And then we'll get into what I actually had planned on working. So, one moment. All right, looks like we are good. So I'm gonna get this party started by talking about the fun. I don't know if you can see behind me, there's a camera, but there is nothing on the screen. So a few things about that is I tried to get fancy. I happen to have two DSLRs because I recently upgraded from one to another, so that I wanted a DSLR that could actually plug into the computer for a project I have coming up where we have a photo booth, and I wanted it to be able to control the camera. But I thought, well, hey, I have two DSLR cameras. I can surely figure out a way to connect that to my stream and have, you know, the two cameras, one showing kind of the room, the other camera showing the workspace, which you can see right there below. So what I got were two things. They're essentially the same kind of thing, but eBay was having a deal, and so I wanted to jump on that while I could. And so one of them is the Elgato HD60S, and then the other one is the HD60. I'm just going cheap, trying to just do the fancy one for the newer camera, and then the older camera, the less fancy one. And what it said on the package was that it was Mac compatible, and I read a bunch of boards of people doing dual streaming with the two devices, and it was, you know, people were able to make it work. What I failed to find until I went to go try and set it up was that there's no Mac drivers for the HD60S or just HD60, and so I had to look at some different hacks in order to just even get the output from the camera on here. And so the first hack I actually found, absolutely fantastic person. They wrote their own RTMP server that basically you can use the Elgato software to stream to your local RTMP server and then open that into OBS. It's just silliness to get the output into the stream. But that only works for one, because the Elgato software only lets you connect to one camera at a time. And so what I am doing is at least getting that for tonight. And I may go back to the drawing board. Supposedly the Elgato Cam Link, you can connect directly into OBS. I may or may not decide to return one of these, swap out one of the cam links. TBD on that one. You'll also notice the box for kind of the hitbox on the cameras displaying. I didn't get around to installing the third-party hack onto the camera that basically lets you stream without showing the, you know, on-screen stuff. It's not as big of a deal for this camera, but on the older one, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's gonna look terrible. So I will need to install it on that if I want to use it, or maybe just not do it. But I like to make things difficult for myself, so you never know. But I think for tonight we're good enough. Got a really fun project. This was actually requested by my mom, because I was just looking for more projects. I'm crazy like that. And she told me about this really neat thing. So I think we're gonna get going with that. That is, we are gonna make a bunch of shirts tonight. It's gonna be super fun. Should be pretty like seamless once I actually design the thing. So the backstory on this is that the Giants had this special package and it was called the Italian package, and I guess it was some special tickets, and you got this cool Italian giant shirt. And the problem though is they only did that one night, and if you didn't happen to buy that package that night, there was no other way to get the Italian Giants t-shirt. I don't know why. I'm guessing small run or something for that particular event. My mom actually reached out to the Giants organization and said, hey, can I buy this? And they said, nope, we don't have any. We're not going to make any. And so I really was like, hey, I can do that. Sure, I'll make you those. She was looking, you know, like for resellers online, and nobody had it really. And so that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to recreate the design that was done for that special event, and do it for her and a few of her friends. And for those of you that don't know, my mom is like one of the biggest San Francisco Giants fans on the planet, and I think this one's going to mean a lot to her. So and she's also like, she's a season ticket holder of the River Cats, which is like the AAA team for the San Francisco Giants. They go all the time, and they have friends that they go to the River Cats with. And so what we're gonna do is make some shirts for some of those friends too. So you can see there down, let's see, wait, right down there you can see the pile of shirts that we're working with tonight. It is a gray, but just like the original shirts were gray, but they requested a V-neck because it's all ladies, and you know, ladies tend to like the V-neck, and I'm not rocking the V-neck tonight, but it tends to look a lot nicer on women. I get my shirts from jiffyshirts.com. I really like it. I'm not sponsored, I'm not an affiliate. Maybe someday I can be an affiliate, but I have bought a lot of stuff from Jiffy Shirts. They sell more than just shirts too. I got some bags recently I might play around with. But it's just, they are fast just like Jiffy, and a lot of different brands, a lot of different options, and just about every color under the sun. So and you get free shipping from a certain, and they really do come fast, which is what I like, because I'm very patient. So anyway, let's go ahead, and I was terrible, and I actually don't remember where the picture is, the reference photo that we're doing. So you know, bear with me as I find it on the internet. I know I looked at it with my mom at one point. So I'm just searching the internet for Giants Italian Heritage shirt, and I found it. Wasn't too hard to find. I'll be bringing it up in just a moment once I grab the image. And then you can see it all on the screen. For some reason, Silhouette doesn't let you drag an image from the browser in, so I just had to drag it to the desktop first. So you can see here, it's a pretty simple design. It's not going to be too hard for us to work with. I am, however, if you see the San Francisco logo below, there's a few different ways we can do that. You can, what we'll do is I'll give it a try on the trace tool and see how it goes. A lot of times though, what I like to do with something like this that's super simple is recreate it rather than use the trace and detach tool. Let's give a trace a try first, since that's the quick and easy dirty way. I know we used trace and detach last time I streamed, but it's super easy to use. You just pick the trace tool and then you click select trace area, and for some reason, there you go, didn't want to connect, so let's do that. Alright, so then we just drag a bounding box I don't actually want that much area. So I'm gonna resize this down. You can see here that it got a lot of stuff. Typically when you have this happen where it doesn't select everything appropriately, you can mess with different settings on the trace and detach tool, or what I like to do is that I'll just work with parts of the image and then I can come back and etc. So you can see here there's also a little bit of extra bits we have for the copyright, but let's go ahead and bring back the trace tool, and we're just gonna pick, looks like we can trace the outer edge. I don't see anything in here that's going to be super crazy to do, so we're going to do it that way. That way you don't get double of the lines. Oh. Alright, or not. Alright, so if you look here, we'll move this off the screen. You can see what it grabbed. You know, it's not too terrible, but if I zoom in, you're gonna see why I'm probably not gonna stick with this. If you look, the curviness of this isn't quite right, and you can see there's this little bits here that aren't quite right. This little edge on the right over here is kind of funky. It's not exactly crisp like I'd like it to be. You can really see it on this box here. Obviously this is a right edge here, but this has got some weirdness going on. The Italias are right. So, you know, in a pinch, if you're pressed for time and you're making a shirt and you want to get it done, this would work. No one would probably notice, but I notice. And especially since we're making more than one, I think we're going to do it the right way. So I'm going to take this reference image and I am just going to delete all this that I just created. And what we're going to do is, the way that I do this a lot of times when I'm copying something that's been made before and I'm trying to get it completely accurate. This happens a lot with logos, or if there's a particular font that's used as a part of like a branding or something. Again, I'm just doing this for fun, not selling these. So if you reach out to me and you want to buy something that I've done that has a sports team on it, just gonna be real with you, I'm not gonna do it because I like to be above the board when it comes to legal stuff. So happy to make you something else that I can have done commercially, but this is just for friends. I am giving it away. Legal disclaimer ending. So what I like to do though for this kind of stuff when I'm doing it for friends is I will take the reference image and do an identifier. So it's a website where you upload your image to, and it will suggest what font looks like the characters in your image. So I'm going to do this for Italia. It just helps me. I mean, if it was an identifiable font like Comic Sans or Papyrus or even some other funky stuff that I'm used to seeing, I don't need to go through that hassle. But this one it's not screaming out to me what font it is, so we're gonna go ahead and look for it. So it's, again, the website is identifont.com, and where's the Identifont? Oh, maybe it was Font Squirrel. I can't remember. It's been a while. I don't normally just search Google, so we're just gonna do that. So I'm just searching Google by identify font. Yeah, so Font Squirrel has something called a maturator I've used before. The one I think I used most recently, it looks like, is What the Font by MyFonts. So myfonts.com/whatthefont. We're gonna load this. Maybe next time on OBS I will have a browser window showing for y'all, so you can see what I'm doing when I'm using the browser. we're all learning. We're all growing together. So I am now on the site and I'm going to pick an image. Pick that shirt image. And it found the Italia portion of the shirt. Ooh, that looks like a very close font. Yeah, I think we found it. This is a paid font, it looks like. See, I don't know if it's actually suggesting any unpaid font. I don't know if I have this font, so let's take a look. The font that it's suggesting, and it actually looks exactly it. I'm pretty confident this is the font that they use. Is ITC Batik Bold Condensed. Have that. Look like it. So it's a $65 font. I am pretty positive we can find a free font that's close enough to it. They'll give us those crisp lines. So I'm gonna go to the Font Squirrel. So that's Font Squirrel, like the little animal that I hate. .com and Maturator. That's like match and then ERATOR. Works pretty much the same. You upload an image and it suggests a bunch of fonts for you. And so now all I'm doing is setting the bounding box so it only picks the Italia. All right, we found one. There is a font called IFC Hardball Regular. Looks just like it. Do that. That's pretty awesome. I like that it's a baseball font name, Hardball. Alright. So let's go ahead and open that up. Unfortunately, the way that Silhouette works is I have to quit and come back. So just give me a moment to do that. Hopefully I can figure out OBS and getting things showing again. So just please be patient with me. So all I'm doing right now is installing the font that I downloaded that matched. Just noticed that Twitch had the wrong category. Moving to makers and crafting. Not streaming league. I had tried to stream league with my husband. We were duo queuing some ARAM, but that didn't work. Alright, looks like the font's installed. So now I can relaunch Silhouette and see what happens. Interesting. It looks like OBS still had the window open. Like the last version of that screen window, even though I quit the application. Good to know. Also, you'll notice it's a little bit darker right now. I brought my lamp that I normally have in here to work, and I haven't brought it home yet. So next time we stream, I will be a bit brighter, and we'll be able to see a little bit better. But realistically, what you really need to see is what I'm working on the screen. Awesome, we are relaunched, so I am now going to bring in the reference image again, just so we know what we're working with. I'm going to push it off to the side for now. Zoom out. Okay, so now we have that, and I should be able to change to hardball. Oh, it's probably not listed under that. What was the full name? Just launching Fontbook to look it up. IFC. There it is. Bam! There you go. So one of the things I like to do when I know that I have a particular color that I'm working with is I will set a background. Now, one of these days, I hope that Silhouette actually lets you set a background color for the canvas you're working with. Maybe. But until then, I kind of fake it with a box that I colored. So we are going to set the fill color to white and change the line color to nothing. And how about we make this 140 points just for now to play around. Alright, looking good. Looking good. Alright, so now let's work on the Giants logo. So when I'm dealing with logos, I try to find somebody else who's done all the hard work for me. So an easy way to do that is to look for a vector drawing. Vector drawing is going to maintain those crisp lines because it's all computed in real time rather than being pixels that are being like colored. It is actually a line that's being generated. And so the most common format for line drawings or vector drawings is SVG. So the way that I approach it is I go to Google Images, I search for blah SVG, and typically if it's a really popular thing, I can find it. I imagine that there is a Giants SVG. Now keep in mind, my version of Silhouette lets me play around and use SVGs. Your version of Silhouette, if it's just the basic one that comes off the shelf, is likely not to have it. However, I believe the SVG support is in the like designer edition, and that is only like the first step of upgrades, and it's not too expensive. You can get it on discount a lot of times from third-party resellers on Etsy or other places for typically around 25 to 30 bucks, which I think for being able to work with SVG is totally worth it, but your mileage may vary. So I'm just loading up images now, and I'm going to look for SF Giants logo SVG and see what we get. Well, look at that. The first result, now again, you can't look at that, but I'm just telling you, you can listen to me, I guess, is that the first result is from Wikimedia Commons. That's like my favorite place to go because then I'm pretty sure of the quality of the image, and then also that it's a common thing. Now, again, this is not something I would reproduce for profit, but it still makes me happy that it's mostly an okay thing to use. So I'm just gonna go there, and the thing is, I love Safari. I don't know what browser you're using. It depends on the browser whether or not an SVD is going to actually download. Sometimes it will render in the page, and what you have to do is try to figure out how to download it. In Safari, it's a little funky. You can't just go to save as after you've clicked on it. So what you'll have to do is right click on any download link, or link to the image, and then save it from there, or download link file from there. And that's going to do you much better than trying to save it as when you've already clicked on the page. So I went ahead and downloaded that, and let's see, let me grab it from the downloads. And bring it into Silhouette. Alright, well, it's not playing nice tonight. I don't know what's going on. So, that one's not going to work. We're going to give it another go, though. Happens, you know? Not everything in life is easy. My dad likes to say that. Not exactly like that. Nothing's ever easy is what he says. Going back to Google Images, we're going to try another one. I might just try the same one in a different browser. Maybe Chrome will let us see this a little bit better. Nope. Alright, well that one's not gonna work. Let's give another one a try. Alright, found another random website with it. We'll see if this one works. If that one doesn't work, then we have a few other options still. Alright. So awesome, we got it. And let's go and get it brought onto the page. Look at that. San Francisco Giants. Fantastic. We're just going to delete some of these other layers that came in. You know what's interesting is their original shirt had a trademark logo, and this one has a restricted invitation. For our purposes, again, since this is just a shirt for friends, I am going to release the compound path for just a moment. And then, select all of those. Right click and compound path again. Giants logo back. Alright, we got a Giants logo. Let's go ahead and make that white. Bam, there we go. Looking good. Now for the super easy part, man. I mean, like, when my mom said, "Can you make this?" and she was worried I wouldn't be able to, I was like, really, this thing is like, it's pretty cheese, but it means something to the Italians, of which I am one, so I don't mind it. That's the fun part is, it's, you know, everyone has different things that make them super excited. And how many of us liked Nyan Cat and it was just like, this is just a cat with a Pop-Tart body and rainbows. Like, there's nothing special about that, but it makes me happy every time I see it. Alright, so what I'm doing here is I'm just making the box and see how big it is. I'll split into three. I might eyeball it, but I should probably not. Just zooming in. And get a line. I can fill it in and see it better. Alright. So there's lots of ways you can do this, but probably the easiest way is to just do math. So this is 3.574 inches across. So I'm just going to divide that by 3, and then we get 1.191333. So I'm going to take this up here, and if you look at the top of here, you'll see the width that you can edit, and so I am just going to copy and paste. The silhouette will estimate that one. So there we go. We got the size of one of the colors of the flag, and all I'm going to do is put my cursor here, and then if I hold down the Option key, it will make another one just like that. And then you can align it up. If it's not perfectly aligned, it's fine. You can just move it with the arrow keys. You do it all the time. And I'm just going to do that again and make it on the other side. Super easy peasy. And zoom back out, make sure I get the colors of the flag correctly. And again, these colors, they're just a reference guide, because what you'll see is these, it's not like we're printing this. So it's really a guide for me to use when I go and get the heat transfer vinyl. If you've never worked with heat transfer vinyl, it's like one of my favorite things in the entire universe. So you can see there, pretty good. Now obviously things aren't aligned perfectly. It's obviously bigger than the flag. I'm actually gonna group these all together. So what I'm doing is I'm holding down the Shift key and clicking on each of the items, and then I'm gonna go to group. Alright. Now I'm only grouping it now for kind of my reference. We will want to ungroup this. I forgot how many shirts I am doing, so that's going to be important. As I knock the camera. One, two, three, four. Alright. Yep, 4 to make. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is get approximately how big. My general guidance is somewhere between 7 to 8 inches wide, and the height doesn't usually matter unless you've got something really massive. Most of the time it's really the width that kind of determines what is going to look right. And you know, some people are super precise about stuff, as finicky as I am over the lines, I am not a super precise layout person. I completely eyeball all stuff, so that's what I'm gonna do tonight. I'm gonna keep it real. So what I'm gonna do is click on all this and try to get the overall size somewhere around 7, 7.5 maybe. We'll see what looks good. And then looking at the scale of everything else, I think that the San Francisco logo is a bit big and the flag needs to be bigger. We are just gonna eyeball it. What we're gonna do is, it looks like it's a little too tall. Yeah, it looks about right. There we go. Yeah, pretty good. It's kind of handy when you're copying again, just to lay things out. No one's gonna have the original image and then them standing next to it. That's the really great thing, is just keep that in mind. Most of the time when you're doing this kinds of stuff for friends, like, no one's gonna know the difference. So that's looking good, and now what I always like to do is kind of take these items, make a copy off to the side, and it's with the Option key as a reference. Sorry, still trying to figure out where the difference is. So now I have a reference off to the side. What I like to do is then take the different bits of colors and move those off to the side. So you can see we have a lot of white to work with. So I'm just ungrouping the colors now. And move them to the side. And I'm going to move the gray reference background to the side here. Alright, now let me get to the page setup because it looks kind of funky. Alright, I was showing the print border, now we turn it off into the cut border. I was doing some printing earlier this week, so so now that I have this, the most important thing to remember when you're doing t-shirts with heat transfer vinyl is you need to mirror it. If you don't mirror it, it's not going to work. Just think, the way that heat transfer vinyl works, if none of you know about heat transfer vinyl, again, this is one of the greatest tools available for the crafting audience to make shirts. Like, once I tried it, I'm just totally into it. So the way that heat transfer vinyl works is you have this layer of film that is like the carrier sheet. And then you have this layer of vinyl that melts into fibers. And what you do is you lay on the silhouette mat the carrier, and then that exposes the vinyl to be cut on the top. And so the reason why you mirror is that you're cutting out essentially in reverse, because you'll then go and flip it on top, and the carrier is now on the top, and then your vinyl, and then you have your shirt. And then we will be using a really fantastic tool to kind of heat up the material and fuse it into the shirt. Some people use irons, professionals use a heat press. I've used the heat press. It's kind of annoying. What we've got working now, like it's my favorite. I'll talk through it. Anyway, that's how heat transfer vinyl works, and that's why we have to mirror. Super important to remember, because if you forget, you just basically are chunking your heat transfer vinyl. Also not the cheapest material, so don't want to waste it. So again, I think I said that we were doing 4 shirts. So what we want to do is get 4 copies of this. But first, I am going to mirror flip horizontally. I don't really need to do it to the white box, obviously, but you can see the difference there. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take these and copy it a few times. See there? You kind of see it. It's hard to see now that there's no gray in the back. So what I might do, since it's not going to impact anything, is add a black line so you can see it's going. Perfect. Alright, so this looks terrible. What this would do is you're going to basically end up with it cutting out a bunch of crap. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to select everything, and I am going to see if it's going to nest for me. So what nesting does is it tries to figure out intelligently how to place things so that you're using the least amount of material possible. What I've found, however, is that a lot of times nesting likes to separate words, and trying to get individual letters to line up perfectly is just not worth it. So I'm going to set the padding to a little bit. I like some padding, and rotations to max. I don't really care. And let's go ahead and see what it does. Yeah, you can see what it did. I don't know why the software does this. So anyway, we're going to be more intelligent than the software and undo that. So Italia is a pretty easy one. It's nice and flat. There's no upper or lower letters like that have like the tail or the top. So this will be real easy. And then we got these super easy rectangles. Just hanging out, chilling. Kind of looks like a bit of the lines on a rope. I'll put this over here. I think I can make this in here. Let's move some stuff around. Yeah. Alright, and I'm going to rotate this one. Over here. And it looks like I can save a bit of space, or a bit of material, by bringing this one over here too. Bam. Alright. Looking good. Looking good. Alright, just for reminder, I'm gonna make some more of these. Make some more of these. And do a black one. Alright. So just to make sure that we've got all of our cut lines set appropriately, which, you know, sometimes it happens where you import an SVG and the cut lines don't show. So you can see here, I went to send, and you can see that all the cut lines are showing appropriately because it's all red. Red means cut. That's a good thing. So now the fun part is I'm gonna go get my handy dandy binder of heat transfer vinyl, and we're gonna pick some colors. The first one, very easy. So I came up with this idea after watching some scrapbookers talk about their organization, and I have loved it ever since. It has been the best way for me to organize stuff. All it is this is a scrapbooking binder. It's meant to hold 12 by 12 paper, which is perfect for heat transfer vinyl and just vinyl in general. Bought a bunch of scrapbooking pages, organized it by type and color, and what I have in front here is my floss heat transfer vinyl, which we're not going to use for this purpose. Super good on things and some other things like sweatshirts and that kind of stuff. But we have a lot of white we need to do, so I'm going to use a full-size regular. I like to keep my scraps. I don't know how that's coming through. I like to keep my random scraps in the same pocket with the full size because I'm really just looking for color on there, and sometimes all I need is a little piece. Where is the white? Right, and then let's take a look at the design. Let's see. Let's look at the original. Yeah. Red. It's a little tricky. I feel like it could be a total red, but heat transfer vinyl comes in a lot of colors. This is called the Smooth heat transfer vinyl. It's made by a few different companies. I get all my vinyl from Expression Vinyl. I have used them for years. They are a fantastic company. I'm always happy with what I get. You can always get it in this nice 12 by 12 format. They will cut it down for you in today's. And they have good deals a lot of times. And I've just been really thrilled. They have a lot of options, and so whenever they have deals, I just go get all the colors I'm missing for projects and get them in. So not sure if we can get 4 out of this, so I'm just going to use a full sheet. That is interesting to me, like the Italian flag colors are so Christmassy. My biggest memories growing up was during Christmas time. My mommy would make Neapolitan cookies, but she always do it in the color of the Italian flag. And that was mostly my only exposure to the Italian flag through this cookies. She taught me how to make them. It's been involved. It turns out, one thing I never knew when she was making them is that each color was a different flavor. And she actually did a chocolate, just kind of a tape on the flag. The rest there was a green and then a red and then a chocolate. But you you got the impression. It was striped like the flag. So. Anyway, they were fantastic, and yeah, like I said, I didn't know until she taught me that they were different flavors, and it was one of those like revelations. That's why they were so amazing and had all these different depths of flavors, because there was more than one. So anyway, I'm not normally into so I am laying down the vinyl. It came out a little funky, so I'm just gonna peel it off. Again. Sometimes the text will always come through super straight, but almost there. Typically, I like to have the top edge be right there or a little bit over, because I tend to get my stuff close to the edge. Alright. That's close enough. Now I'm tired. Did all kinds of fun stuff with the family for Halloween. Running a little bit on things, so we're still having fun. So I'm just loading the mat into my silhouette and come back here and we will get it cutting. Should be fun. Super exciting. So I'm just gonna make sure I have the heat transfer vinyl selected. So heat transfer vinyl, heat transfer smooth is the one that we're doing here. And so I'm gonna hit next. I don't know how much I believe that. Probably not right, but we'll give it a whirl and see what happens. Nope, not connected. Alright, what is going on? It's a night of technical difficulties, but we'll get through it. Also, I'm double checking my blade is set to 1. 1 is what you want for smooth stuff. If you're doing glitter, it's different settings. Flock is a different setting. Alright. Back. Alright, so I got a new USB hub and all this too. Word to the wise, don't try to do a bunch of stuff at once, otherwise you run into problems. So here we go. I am going to try to find what is the USB. Cable. Also, the other problem is when you have cables that are extension cables, it's hard to remember which one goes to which. Oh. Just fall into the sewer. Alright, I think I found the right one, and I think it might just be unhappy with the new hub, but I can't find it. There we go. That was the problem. Don't know what's up. But it's working now! Yay! Okay, so we are gonna send it now. There's the sound! There it goes. Yay! So while this is happening, I am going to get out my silhouette tools. Normally I do it at my desk, but you probably won't be able to see it, so I'm going to try doing it over here. So if any of you have been doing crafting for a while on digital things, you'll notice that's not the Silhouette logo on there. What I did is I actually bought a Cricut tool box just because I really liked the case. And I got the tools, and some of the tools are okay, but realistically, like the Silhouette tools are so much better. So I actually have some Silhouette tools inside there. You'll notice the difference when I open it up, but just an FYI, you don't necessarily have to stay within the Silhouette family to have some great tools at your disposal. I also use some Cricut mats from time to time. It works really well for the flock heat transfer vinyl because it's a lot stickier than the Silhouette mats, and the flock heat transfer vinyl, the carrier sheets tend to want to pull off really easily. So, you know, you're not stuck with one brand. I've bought some other Cricut stuff, just papers and other things. So you see here, everything that is green is the Cricut stuff, and these two black tools are the Silhouette tools. The tools I use pretty much most of the time, and rarely ever anything else, is the hook tool. Here, see, it's really great. It's got this awesome, super sharp hook there. Don't get your finger on it, trust me. And then this is scraper tool. The scraper tool is just super useful for just getting a bunch of, when you're doing like a paper cut, you can pull off what you need and then just scrape off the rest. Not super immediate for vinyl in general. So heat transfer vinyl or adhesive vinyl in general. Someone just took a listen to Still going. We had a lot on that page. What I normally like to do is let one color cut. When it's done, I'll peel off the sheet and then put on the next color and get that cutting, and then start weeding. So weeding is the process of taking out all the different parts that you don't need. Also cut up into the different pieces you want. Sounds like the white just finished. If I'm doing a lot of colors or it's really going to take a long time in between pages, I will actually just grab more of the mats and have them just ready to go. You can see here it just pulls off in one pull like that. And then I'm going to put the red in place. the red, and so I'm going to go load that in there. And then one thing I always do when I do this kind of funky stuff is I look at the edge and see kind of where the line ends on the inches and map that back to the silhouette to make sure I'm not going over those. So this looks about like, my max is 6.5 wide by about 7.5 high. So going back to silhouette. Going into design mode, zoom out a bit. Move all my white to the right. And bring in the rest. And this should be pretty easy here. You don't really have to worry about the space. Get more than enough material. That was super quick. Right, they're rectangles. Rectangles cut so quick. Alright, I'm gonna do the green one at it and then cut everything off. Bubbles in there. You definitely do not want bubbles in your cutting because that will throw off the cut. And the nice thing is, since these are just the same rectangles, we're just gonna cut again. Just getting some scissors. So now I got all those, I'm going to just put my mat away. So much fun. So white is always a concern. White is super hard to see the cut line, so always have to be careful. So I'm just cutting out all the different pieces. I find it's much easier to make smaller, and you're much less likely to break. So just to give you an idea what this is looking like, you can see the squares now. And again, this carrier sheet is a little sticky, so it helps you to place it on the shirt. When I was a kid, I was a really good giant square. I used to read the paper and look at all the stats. Not really a lot is going on these days. My sport is in the women's championship series, but it's still fun. I totally get the sports team, fanaticism. Making sure we're cutting the right spot in the road. Long certificates here now, but you say the smaller squares are the thanks to the giant logo. This is another square. Part. We're just getting I don't know why I find reading so enjoyable. Maybe it's just like it's satisfying. Could be. I don't know. Maybe it's distracting. Starting to see the logo come through. There we go. One. You can see that this is reading is a bit time consuming, so this is obviously not how professionals will do things. However, it is useful for adding to baseball jerseys. That way a sports team can just do a massive order and just have a whole bunch of jerseys on hand. And then you can keep professional place and have typically when you do a run of screen printing, there's a lot of set costs. Typically professionally done. You're paying mostly for the labor. Realistically, the material's expensive, but it's not nearly as expensive as people are. You can see when I'm weeding, I use a combination of the tool and my hands. And I normally don't like when it breaks like this. Not normally, but as long as it doesn't break the actual design. We've got some sense that hands lower down. One thing about heat transfer materials, especially the smooth heat transfer material, is you can do layering. You can keep one color and keep another on top of the other color. It's a little tricky when it gets to be like 3 or 4, but it's definitely possible if I'm different times. It's a little harder to layer other things, although if you're layering, say, you have a smooth on the bottom and then you make the glue or fluff on top of that, it's not too bad. If you try to layer glitter on top of glitter or fluff on top of fluff, it just does not work super great. This material doesn't fuse. Italian. This is my second time live streaming, and I'm still trying to keep this happening tonight around this time. Hopefully sooner than this time next week. As long as I'm not traveling. When I'm traveling, I'm trying to do something else. It's the first time so long. But the thing I'd like to get to at some point is if people come on and they have any crafting questions, I'd love to answer those. So if you have any pressing crafting questions or just something you've been curious about and you watch this at another time, please come by and check out the stream. I'm trying this stream around 8:30 Pacific time on Thursdays every week. I don't know everything, but I know a few things. Mostly from trial and error and watching various YouTube videos, looking at Pinterest, or just playing around and seeing what works. My crafting says basically to be simple is whatever's freaking easy to do. I don't have the patience for some of the longer stuff. For a while there, I was super into knitting because a bunch of friends were into it. And I got really into it, but it was only once I figured out the one technique that let me make a scarf in like about an hour. And after I made about 20 scarves with hands, when everyone I knew had a neck, I decided that I wasn't interested in other techniques because they all took too long. Wasn't really much else to make that worked with that technique. Because usually knitting is drop stitch with size 17 needles. So I was like, alright, cool, done the knitting thing, done with that. And leave all my knitting stuff away. But I keep coming back to my silhouette. It's the fun thing about the silhouette in general is that it doesn't really feel like it gets old. There's so many different things you can do. It just works for me mentally because I've been working with it for so long and designing for so long. It makes sense for me. I am by no means a graphic designer. I know my way around Photoshop, and it's always fun to do sometimes. I'm much better at this kind of stuff. I copied it somewhere else. I put it over. That works for me. Seems to work for us. Alright, we got all the whites done. Woo! Super exciting. Now we just have the rest of the squares to do. Sorry, just the squares. That's nice. It's just so satisfying. Look at that go. Awesome. So awesome. Always satisfying. Always. If you do this, you have to be confident. It's just too fun. Almost there. Thanks for sticking with this. Look at that. We have all of our pieces now. I am going to go and touch. Take a quick look at stream. Alright, so I am now going to put these to the side. So that I can get this is one of my favorite newish things that I've had. It is made by Cricut, and I am totally blanking on the name, but it is basically a massive iron. It's got some weight to it. This is a nice airflow base. So if you see what I put down underneath, it is it's basically a mat to iron on, because it does tend to get pretty warm underneath, and it started to warp a little bit, this cutting mat on top of this table. So I kind of like to do that, but it is just literally the best tool. It is so quick and easy. It heats up really fast. Not like sponsored by Cricut, wouldn't do it, but it really makes it so much easier to do heat transfer stuff. I can whip it out quickly and put it away quickly. In the past, what I had to do was run my heat press, and it just got super unwieldy and super annoying, and it was super hard to open. I bought a super cheap, saying super loud, but a really cheap heat press off of eBay and by some random Chinese company, and it just not the most durable device ever. So what I'm doing here is I am changing the temperature. I don't actually remember what heat transfer vinyl smooth wants to be at, but I always said it's 325. It seems to work for most materials, and especially when you're working with the kind of material in the t-shirt. It doesn't tend to like burn or anything at that temperature to the panel. It does give you a nice even set. And then once you set the temp, it will start to get up to heat. And the next thing you'll set is your timer. Heat transfer vinyl is smooth, tends to only need about 10 seconds. Sometimes I might go a little longer. Certainly not nearly as long as what I would do for flock or glitter. So I'm going to go ahead and set the timer for less. I'm going to go down to 10. And we're going to wait for this to heat up. You can see we're already at 195, getting rather warm, and 200. You see how quick that goes. It just makes it so much faster to do this kind of stuff, to whip it out. I have done many times oh my gosh, we are running to a birthday party in an hour, what shirt can I make? So having something that can heat up quickly is very vital to us, at least making it somewhat on time. I always have a bunch of different colored and cut shirts that are sized similar to both of my kids, so that if they do get invited to a birthday party or whatnot, that I can just whip out a shirt. I always have a gift on hand, and the gift is always related to that child. You run the risk of somehow picking the wrong size, but generally kids at the same age tend to be around the same-ish size. There we go, we're at heat. So one of the main reasons to heat transfer, obviously you can't do that with a plate. So one of the things I learned from someone who does this professionally was super great advice. I was running into some problems. He gave me a bunch of different tips. I'll be sharing with you over time another one, mostly going to be bags, but one of them was to heat up the shirt ahead of time before you apply the heat transfer vinyl. I'm just going to move this. And so what I do is I put down the shirt down like this. Normally I work with kids' shirts, so forgive me if it takes me a moment to get the shirt kind of situated. I like to get it squared out center on here so I can figure out the placement. And then what I do is I just kind of press one. I'm going to be going for a few seconds. And what he said this does is it gets out some of the moisture. And it lets the heat transfer vinyl kind of adhere more. So I'm going to just kind of go a little bit around. Just in case I decide to change my mind where things are located. Okay. So we've got that all heated up. Looks about center. So now I'm going to figure out where I want to put things. So again, if you are more of a measuring kind of sort, you can go ahead and measure your way through this. But so that looks about center. So can always move around some. I'm going to double check the Italian flag. I have the colors in the right location. So now what I'm going to do is line these up a little. Just so I can get it for it. Note that we aren't going to be pressing all three of these at the same time and all in line and small. Just trying to make sure I have got all this in a good way. And double check the reference. So it looks like things are a little bit closer. So pull this up. And pull this up. That seems about right. So then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take off the other colors. And see that there. And I'm going to try to line this up a bit more straight. Alright, that looks good. And so now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my press and just put it down. I'm going to push the cricket icon and push down pretty hard. So the nice thing about smooth heat transfer vinyl is that it is a hot peel. So what that means is I can peel the carrier sheet off right after I press it. And magically, bam, it is there. It is on the shirt. Look at that. Nice and smooth and crisp. Right. So now we need the extra colors. Now you might be tempted to just put the colors on here, press again, and go on with your day. You would be a very sad puppy if you did that. And the reason why is you melt this heat transfer vinyl again, and it's going to just melt right onto your press. So there's an easy solve for that. So they have these Teflon sheets you can buy. I have a pretty good deal on those. And you just want to put it over it. Alright, so then I can hot glue. And look at that, we have our shirt. Now, you might be tempted to be done here. You totally can be done here. I am just paranoid since I have kids and they are not the kindest of things. I actually go over it a second time with the Teflon sheet over it. just to make sure that everything is fused 100%. It just makes me feel better. And I have had no problems really with this staying over time. I don't do anything special. I know you're probably supposed to like turn it inside out and give it a wash. Honestly, I just remember following the rules. And we're like, yep, I'm never gonna know. Especially since my kids do their own laundry. That just doesn't work. So you just throw it in the wash. It's like normal. You see the design here. You can see how it's fused. I can put my hand over it. It's not going anywhere. It is just like a normal, you purchased it off the rack kind of shirt. So you see now is the Italian shirt. I think it's gonna work out well for them. So yeah, I think this turned out well. Now what we're gonna do is make a few more of them. Came up pretty well. Yeah. All right. Let's make some more. Be careful with the wrinkles in the shirt, especially if you're going to put some vinyl over it, because that is not going to roll. You're not going to be able to do that. Especially to be more precise. More than one of these, but oh gosh, I don't know how to do that. It's gonna be interesting. See what we can do. if we not too bad, not too bad. And password that is a thing for sure. There's a picture of the bottom again, and it looks like it's not too bad. So I'll have to put out another in for the last part. I'll just put it on, and it should look just like it should. Alright. Stuff happens. As if nothing. Bam! There's your. Did the scenic route through that one? Just to do the scenic route. That's gonna be the fun thing of doing this kind of thing live. Is that when I give people stuff, they're gonna know all the mistakes that I did along the way. But you know, that's real life. I am not a robot. Nothing against robots. Robots help us do a lot of great things. Just centering the ship. my favorite t-shirt brand. They have a really good way about them. Just the material just holds up so well with the heat transfer. It's got this nice thickness to it, but it's not like to the point of stuffiness. It's just, it feels quality. Man, at least on Jiffy shirts, one of the cheaper brands out there, so it's nice. Alright, this time I think, just to be safe, I'm just going to start with the I'm just going to do it in I remembered. I'll press it again. Any of you heard the song Baby Shark? My youngest has been singing it all the time, and he found out that he can ask Alexa for it now, so he greeted us this morning with Alexa and him singing to Baby Shark. It's very adorable. At the same time, one of those like, now I think it does Alexa for me. So hopefully one of it works in Baby Shark. And I'll take that over the activity, because I need to do this. Alright, for the shark guys. We do have to put some more red and green. Part of me is curious if I can just put it myself. So what I'm going to do difficult about this is that there's not going to be any carrier sheet to help us stick. Although if you have seen the metal version of Baby Shark by Proverbs Studios, I do highly recommend that. Even if you want to play silly children's music. It's a fun rendition. Gets his whole family involved. Seems like a pretty cool dude. Just a lot of fun. We took a video of my son dancing and singing to that version. Just absolutely hilarious. I will show you after this when you don't have carrier sheets to help you out with having a trick. Alright. Alright, so what you can see here is I have this carrier sheet from Canada. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this down. And I'm actually going to put that old carrier sheet on top. Now, remember, this has also a carrier sheet on it. So it's going to be double thick carrier sheet. So you're going to press it here. You can see here it's not quite round, but it's very serious. Bam! Problem solved. That was bad. just Alright. Looking good. Looking good. A few seconds. Right. And bam, last one. Just putting stuff away. Turning off the pictures. Now we've got our set of shirts. Looks pretty good. Pretty close to the design. Yeah, pretty close. All right, well, it's been fun. It's been real, folks. I think it is time to be done with stream for tonight. I had fun. I hope you did as well. And hope you'll join me next time for the fun stream of randomness. We will do something fun next time. I have a bunch of different stuff planned for this. But again, if you are watching and you're like, how do I do blah in crafting? Please come and join me in our stream of fun and ask me anything, really. I may not have the answer, but at least I can point you maybe in a good direction and we can figure it out together. But maybe you'll have the answer. I've tried a bunch of different stuff, failed at a lot of things, and sometimes succeeded at others. So please come and join me, and next time I stream again. The stream is live. I am shooting for 8:30 p.m. every Thursday, that's Pacific time. And thanks everyone for watching. See you next time.